Hey everybody, hope you're doing good today. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bowo. I'm in the office just doing a little work before the staff come in because I've kind of been under it a little bit with that swollen gland stuff. But anyway, so I'm going to get home in a little bit, but I thought, hey, I'm here, I'm doing some work. Let me get into the Word. You know, it's always fun to get into the Bible, just read through it a little bit. We start a new book today, which is super exciting. God will strengthen. So think of that. God will strengthen. And you think the book of Ezekiel. That's what his name means. God will strengthen. And the book of Ezekiel is a big one. It's kind of like Isaiah and Jeremiah as far as its length goes, but it's written ahead of the time of Isaiah and Jeremiah. And we'll see that Babylon came in and took the southern tribes of Israel, took them captive, and now you have Ezekiel ministering in Babylon. So how cool is that? God's just staying faithful with giving Israel a prophet to understand what's going on from Yahweh's point of view. So it's ahead of Jeremiah, and here we go. It's ahead of Lamentations. So the destruction of Jerusalem has taken place, and that's where we're at. So cool. Hey, my nurses on the comment corner are giving me some heads up as far as what to do about swollen glands. You know, I don't get sick very often. Last time I was sick was probably, I'm going to say it was maybe 4 months before my mom died. So that was 2 years ago. So I don't get ill a ton. I do get allergies, and usually allergies get all in there, and then that's where the glands come. I don't have a fever, that kind of thing. But it says tea with honey and lemon. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Tea, honey, lemon. Let's see what that. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm in Ezekiel. And so this says, on July 31st, of my 13th year, while I was with the Judean exiles beside the Chebar River, or Kabar River, in Babylon, the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. Okay, so we see that the heavens open up. Ezekiel sees a vision. This is kind of popular throughout the Bible too, is every now and then these people get some pretty radical visions. You get it in the Old Testament, and you also get it in the New Testament. It says this happened during the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, and the Lord gave this message to Ezekiel, son of Buzi, a priest. So Ezekiel is from a priestly family. So we saw in Jeremiah, or in Lamentations, there was this hope that God was going to restore Israel. Be there for Israel. And here we see that one of these fulfillments is just in Ezekiel, being there for the people. It's good when you're down and out, when you have kind of a message from God, when things aren't going well. And that's what Ezekiel is. Remember his name, God will strengthen, right? The people of Israel definitely need to be strengthened. And so it says that this vision comes to him, and it says that he was a priest beside the Kabar River in the land of the Babylonians, and he left the hand of the Lord, or he felt the hand of the Lord take hold of him. Man, that's cool. I love that idea. Today I want the Lord to take hold of me, and hopefully today you want the Lord to take hold of you too. Something's going to take hold of us, everybody on the planet. It's just a question of what's going to take hold of you, right? What's really going to have your heart, have your mind? Man, such a great question. And it says, as I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, driving before it a huge cloud that flashed with lightning and shone with brilliant light. There was fire inside the cloud, and in the middle of the fire glowed something like gleaming amber. From the center of the cloud came 4 living beings that looked human, except that each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Kind of human in appearance, but definitely a little different, right? It says their legs were straight and their feet had hooves like those of a calf and shone like burnished bronze. Under each of their 4 wings I could see human hands, so each of the 4 beings had 4 faces and 4 wings. The wings of each living being touched the wings of the being beside it. Each moved straight forward in any direction without turning around. Whoa, it's all That's so crazy. It sounds wild. It says each had a human face in the front, the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and the face of the eagle at the back. Now, I always suggest that, you always do some cool Bible studies on this to see if there's any other kind of representation of this or likeness of this throughout other scriptures. You might be surprised, and you might be able to put some really cool things together in your in-depth Bible study. But notice just 4 different kind of faces, right? We have a human face, we have a lion, we have an ox, and we have an eagle. It says each had 2 pairs of outstretched wings, one pair stretched out to touch the wings of the living being on either side of it, and the other pair covered its body. Interesting. A lot of wings. And it says they went in whatever direction the Spirit chose, and they moved straight forward in any direction without turning around. The living beings looked like bright coals of fire or brilliant torches, and lightning seemed to flash back and forth among them, and the living beings darted to and fro like flashes of lightning. As I looked at these beings, I saw 4 wheels touching the ground, beside them 1 wheel belonging to each. The wheels sparkled as if made of beryl. All 4 wheels looked alike and were made the same. Each wheel had a second wheel turning crosswise within it. So you have a wheel within a wheel, one's crossing the other. And it says the beings could move in any of the 4 directions they faced without turning as they moved. The rims of the 4 wheels were tall and frightening, and they were covered with eyes all around. Gnarly. And it says when the living beings moved, the wheels moved with them. When they flew upward, the wheels went up too. The spirit of the living being was in the wheels. So whatever the spirit went, the wheels of the living beings also went. When the beings moved, the wheels moved. When the beings stopped, the wheels stopped. And when the beings flew upward, the wheels rose up. And when the spirit of the living beings was in the wheels, the spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. So they're definitely attached. Spread out above them was a surface like the sky, glittering like crystal. Beneath this surface, the wings of each living being stretched out to touch the other's wings, and each had 2 wings covering his body. As they flew, their wings sounded to me like waves crashing against the shore, or like the voice of the Almighty, or like the shouting of many or a mighty army. When they stopped, they let down their wings. As they stood with wings lowered, a voice spoke from beyond the crystal surface above them. Above this surface was something that looked like a throne made of blue lapis lazuli, and on this throne, high above, was a figure whose appearance resembled a man. From what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like gleaming amber, flickering like a fire, and from his waist down he looked like a burning flame, shining with splendor. All around him was glowing halo, like a rainbow shining in the clouds on a rainy day. This is what the glory of the Lord looked like to me when I saw it. I fell face down to the ground, and I heard someone speaking to me. Very, very cool. So it's interesting. It says above this surface was something that looked like the throne. So it's kind of cool. Above these creatures with these wheels is this throne. And then there's this picture of the Almighty. This picture of, what does it say in this translation? It said, it said just the glory of the Lord, right, is there. So there's this scene that's below and there's this scene that's above. Now, again, in your Bible studies, you can look up other passages that are very similar with this. I would say, is there any other passages in the Bible that talk about, in a sense, the Lord and the throne of God similar to this? Is there any other descriptions of God that kind of resemble these kind of lights and jewels and all that kind of thing? And then I would do another Bible study on, hey, is there anything that describes Jesus in that way as well? And go to town, have fun. I mean, there's so many like YouTube clips on this, on Ezekiel and what it looked like, and these wheels going and the creatures moving. But just remember, really the push of the chapter is what's above them, right? It's getting Ezekiel to what? Look where? Up, right? He sees the four creatures, these living creatures, and the wheels and the sounds and the lights, but it's really moving. The direction of the eyes are going upward to the throne, to where God is at. And it reminds me of something, I think it's a cool devotion, and that is, there's a lot of fascinating things to see in our world. There's a lot of things that capture your attention and capture my attention on the planet. And it can even be the trees. When I go skiing, and when I'm at 11,000 feet up, I got to tell you that I've been skiing off and on a long time. And I've always tried to do things very well as far as sports or things like that. And I come from a line of very, very good athletes, better than me. And so me and my brother, we tend to go pretty hard. And when you're 11,000 feet up and the wind is howling and snow is just moving off the crest of the mountain, and it's kind of spooky and no one's around because no one wants to go down that part. That's it's a hard part to go down. It's not a normal part of the ski place that people go to. But it's gorgeous. I gotta tell you, it is unbelievably beautiful. And sometimes me and my brother, or just me alone, will just sit there and just go, wow. But if it doesn't point me above, does that make sense? If it doesn't move my eyes up a little more to God, to the artist, to the creator, to the poet, to the lyricist, then I'm only getting a little bit of the interesting, the little bit of the beauty. Do you get what I'm saying? Is that there's something greater. So much of the time, us human beings, we get caught up in what the Bible calls idolatry. And it says that this is kind of our lot in this existence, meaning we tend to move in this direction by default. No matter how much you think you're not an idol worshiper, we tend to move in that direction. And we'll make anything an idol. We'll make church an idol. Right? Like Israel. Hey, the temple. We'll make our temple, in a sense, we'll make our churches an idol. We'll make our bodies an idol. We'll make our families an idol. will make our governments idolatrous. We can sometimes tend to worship anything. And what I mean by that is our passions get mixed up. We get too caught up in someone or something where our eyes are no longer looking up. Now, it's interesting that in the Old Testament, our eyes are always to look upward to God. This is what we learned in the Psalms. This is what was so beautiful about the Psalms, right? And why David was a man after God's own heart. It's not because he was a good guy in a lot of ways, but it's because he was looking upward. He saw he looked out and he saw the beauty of the world. The heavens declare the glory of God, but he looked above it. He saw that there was someone greater than all that we see. And we see that in Ezekiel 1, where Ezekiel sees something, but then there's something greater that's above even the incredible vision of the four living creatures. There's a throne and there's a God. And his eyes are directed there. And in the New Testament, what does it say? Same exact thing. Fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. Set your heart and your mind on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father, of God, right? Everything in the New Testament is directed upward as well. Upward to the Son. Upward to the one who makes the way to the Father. Notice it's always going up. That's the direction. And us humans fall into that fallacy where we start worshiping the creation instead of worshiping the Creator. That we get stuck. That we become irrational. When you look at a painting, you don't worship the painting, but we tend to do that. We tend to worship the painting, but we forget there's a creator behind the painting, the painter. And that's the one we should be looking at and going, man, you did a great job. But a lot of times we just get caught up in what we see or feel or taste or touch. We eat food and we go, man, and we're so stoked at the food that we forget there was a preparer of that food, a maker, right? The creator of the dish. And this isn't rational. Our passions shouldn't lie in what is created, but our passions should lie in the Creator. I hope you get that. So out of all the people on the planet, in our histories, where we all come from, at some point we got distorted and all of our ancestry got this wrong, got Ezekiel 1 wrong. We got too focused on the things below God. That's where our passions stopped. And we didn't logically go to the Creator, the one who made everything. And so we've become, in a sense, a species of idol worshipers. And that's what you see. Does that sound true to the world? Look at the world. What do you see us all doing? What do you see people doing? We get involved with various things passionately, whatever it is. We go in all kinds of directions, and we become, in a sense, non-prioritized, right? We end up worshiping wrong things. And it creates difficulty and division and hatred. And you just look at the fruit of our lives on the planet. You might say, Bo, no, I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to say, no, we're great. We're doing great. We're worshiping. All roads lead to God. We're all doing the right thing. Yeah, well, what's the fruit? I would say, what's the fruit of our actions on the planet? Not the best fruit, is it? corporations, the way they're run, what they're for. I mean, everything. You just go down the list. Every little thing, it's all just, oh man, it can be overwhelming how much we've messed up the planet in the sense of just haven't treated things right, haven't treated each other right. You know, gosh, I remember surfing and all of a sudden there would be a sludge of oil, on my skin. Where did that come from? Well, it came from the oil drilling that goes on. And all the oil stuff, that can't be good for the fishies. I can't imagine that's great for the algae and everything. But you know how it goes. So when I look at just the facts, of just the scientific facts, meaning what's empirically, what I could see every day, I see a world that is in disarray. That wherever we turn, we find ultimate problems and failures and issues and confusion, things like that, that we need, in a sense, a vision from above. And so our eyes need to get back on track of looking in the right direction. And that's what Ezekiel chapter 1 starts with. Is you might think it's all about the living creatures, but it's not. We saw the push of it. It's about the throne of God. Man, the place of God. The place where God dwells. And that is a special place, but that is where we got to get our eyes. If we're going to have peace and serenity, someone who is stable, someone who is perfect, someone who is infinite in his righteousness and infinite in his mercy and his love, someone who can fill the void. And the tree, no matter how pretty it is up at 11,000 feet, it's not God. It's not God. God is more beautiful than all that. And that's what I take away from Ezekiel chapter 1. And I hope you do too. You see the focus and the drive of the chapter. And that helps you today to go, hey, where do I need to fix my eyes? Where do I need to really focus my attention today? And am I too focused on the creation and not really focused on the creator? Very cool. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for your input in the comment corner on my swollen glands. We'll get those things taken care of. Take a few days, but it'll get better and better, Lord willing. And we'll talk to you guys later, okay? Thanks so much for joining today. Bye-bye.